We are live. We are live. Welcome, excuse me, welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything about college football because we love everything about college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel, smash the like button if you like our content, share the video with your family and friends if you want to support this rebel outpost. If you want to support this home for college football sickos with a donation, just hit the $ where you make a comment and I'll get to you super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls later in the show. I want to start off by giving my prayers and condolences to the victims, to the families, to the loved ones of the victims of the Florida State tragedy. Somebody doing some evil things at Florida State University. It is unfathomable. It is it's unfathomable that somebody would just plan to do that evil act onto innocent people who are just trying to either go to school or they're working at the school, innocent people. It is unbelievable. So I want to give my condolences, my prayers to the victims and to the whole community in Tallahassee. So we want to start off the show. I don't know. It breaks. It gets you angry and it breaks the heart. It almost breaks the soul, to be honest. So anyways, I want to start off with that. We are going to try to entertain you all today with some entertainment. I'm not going to sing. That's not entertaining. When I sing, that's not entertaining. So we're not going to do that, but we're going to be talking college football to try to get our minds off the things that, the crazy world that we live in. We got some stuff to talk about. We're going to talk some football. Current top targets in the portal. Now, I'm going to go through a short list, and it might already be outdated. Some of these names, it might be official. Let me start out by saying this. Is Nico I'm leaving on a jet plane? Is it official? Is it official that he's going to UCLA? Is it official? I know it's official, but is it official? Anyway, we got some other top target names out there, and I might be a little bit behind. This list came out earlier today, and there might be some changes. So let me know. Then we're going to be talking about the chatter behind the curtain. When it comes to the ACC, at least if not total implosion, a partial implosion, it's going to be an implosion. But again, April chatter, May matters. April chatter, May matters. We at PATC do not believe anything is imminent, nor do we believe anything is going to happen in May, except have you noticed, let's be honest, how long has it been since Florida State and Clemson won that massive victory in the courts? Oh, I know it's not official yet. The documents haven't completely, it's 6 weeks. Daniel Gorby says 6 weeks. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate it. And I do appreciate the memberships and the super chats. We'll get to them in a minute. I do appreciate you guys' generosity to help us keep the lights on. I am so humbled by that. Me and the little general, thank you so very much. We work very hard, and we appreciate all the support you all have given us. Have you noticed? I'm going to get into this later, but I'm looking at my notes. I'm cheating. I'm looking at my notes. I got note cards. Have you noticed that none of the big names reporters, not only have they not reported, at least I haven't seen it, they've not reported on the potential happenings of a $165 million exit fee and who's talking to who. And I mean, they used to talk about it quite regularly when there was really no exit fee. The ACC did not have to accept the big check written. But now that there was a massive victory in the courts by the Seminoles and the Tigers, now suddenly they're not talking about it. Or they're not reporting on it. Why do you think that is? Why? And now there's a lot of other news out there. There is real news out there, right? Lots of it. And so they're busy. But it never used to stop them before. You know, Pete Thamel, Heather Dinich, Dennis Dodd, who's now retired, Ross Dellinger, Brett McMurphy, Nicole Auerbach, Chris Vanini, Matt Ocean, Scott Docterman, Andy Staples, Wasserman, on and on and on and on and on and on and on. But right now we've got the sounds of silence. Why do you think that is? I'm going to give you my opinion. I think it's a little bit more than an opinion. I think it kind of shades into the arena of what I believe is to be factual. You don't have to believe me, but I'm going to talk about that because it goes back to our title screen. April chatter, May matters. I think when we get into May, I think you're going to read, hear national people that you all know and love speculate in the open about the situation in the ACC. And it's going to be more than, oh, the ACC has bought themselves some time. Nothing going to happen to 2030. Phillips has done the remarkable. No. It's going to be different than that. Much different than that. April chatters, May matters. In fact, I think we're going to get something that matters in the reporting in the month of May. I got my reasons for it. We'll get into that later on. And then we're going to give you the latest chatter. Because I'm not Nicole Auerbach. I'm not Paul Feinbaum. I'm not Josh Pate. I'm a nobody. But we're gonna talk about what I have heard, the latest chatter. I have no strings attached other than giving people that I talk to, my professionalism. I'm not going to step in anybody's shoes. I'm not going to give anything away. I'm not going to burn any sources. I make sure that I can harvest the field over and over and over again. But everybody knows that we push the envelope about as much as we can, and we're going to push it a little bit again tonight. This is how we've covered every other story, every other big story out there in so many different subjects of college football. And I think you if you are part of the PATC family, you kind of know how this works. You can kind of see, I'm not saying I'm able to talk about a hot bubble of action tonight. We may be able to talk about it in the month of May, possibly. But there is chatter. There's not reporting. Two different things, and we're going to go why that is. Why that is a little bit later on the show. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming on in. First of all, let me get to these generous Holy smokes. Preston from Greensboro, North Carolina. Preston said something here. Oh, it got me to laugh right at the start of the show. UNC had a portal defensive tackle signed for 90 minutes before flipping to Texas. It was a wonderful, wonderful 90 minutes. I tell you, if the Gophers don't get some defensive tackles on the portal, we are in trouble. We are in big trouble. Preston from Greensboro, thank you so much for the gifted 5 memberships. Michelle Weintraub, Yahoo Cougar Football, West Virginia Walrus, David Sabanash, Finely Tuned, you were all gifted a membership because of the generosity from the man from Greensboro, North Carolina. When you get an opportunity, please say thank you to Preston. All of you are hereby knighted. Hereby knighted. Cloak and Dagger. You are now members of our channel. And we are going to be producing, we were going to produce a members only episode about 4 days ago, but I could not pull the trigger on that one. We're waiting on that. When we do, we'll drop it in. But if you're a member, go keep checking our library of episodes. Watch for the next one to get released. We drop you a little bit of nugget before we come on live. Anyways, thank you, Preston from Greensboro. I appreciate your incredible generosity. And again, Bill G does it once again. Bill G does it once again. Another 5 gifted memberships. Mini Hunt, ACC West Commissioner Gumby. Lewis is in the house. The legendary Duke Blue Devil. We got some Duke news. We got a little bit of Duke news. They are the second on the list. Dan Nekovaski. I apologize, Dan, if I butchered your name. I butcher everybody's name, so please don't take it personally. I do apologize. And J-Rod, 112278. All of you have been gifted a membership because of the generosity of Bill G. When you get an opportunity, please say thank you to Bill G. All of you, once again, what's going on? Knighted, Cloak, and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger. And then we got a very kind super chat from Ricky Tungate. Happy Easter to everyone. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it, Ricky, so very much. Yep, happy Easter. His wounds made us heal. Thank you, Ricky. I do appreciate it so very much for your generosity, Mr. Hoosier. Okay, let's get to a roll call here. We got to get to a roll call because I want to thank everybody. Rock and Rant, AMAC, Muggy, thanks for coming on in. Coy, Edward, the Auburn Tigers, Scott P., Nick Kelso, Ryan Brooks. I'm all on Nussmeier. I am a believer. Steel Austin is in the house. Mr. Monkey says, AMAC, Stormy Cyclone. Mr. California, Golden Bears, Gene Calderon is in the house. Seminole, Daniel Gorby, Jeff Jorgensen, Nick Kelso, Buckeye Ramirez, again, Bill G, Jeremy Nork. Stephen Vitt is in the house. Tumasta. Something's going on with my mouse here. I do not like what's going on with my mouse. Tumasta is in the house. Bo Weevil is here. David Hall. I got the keys. Keith Moore is in the house. The Observer. Nick Boardman. Lee Jim Reese. Morris Simmons is here. Morris Simmons, Mr. Seminole, Nick Boardman. Rock and Rand, he's already been in the house. Bob Swanger, Dr. L. Smith, David Sabanash, a new member. Mayor McCheese. Oh, that's right. I did not do the second best joke of all time. I got to do that to begin the show. I forgot about that. Les Austin Jr., Hummus Hero, Brett Taylor. Opie is in the house. Toast is here. Joaquin Morales, Nate. Hello to my fellow PATC cultists. Call me David. Deadeye is here. Skaven, yes, Mr. Cornhusker. A lot of things going on in Nebraska. Richard Brookins, K-Fans 1993. Buckeye Expedition Greg is in the house. Mr. Terrapin, D5 Terps, Rod Nix, Dante's Infernal Purgatory, Go Scarlet Knights. Holy smokes. Matt Neeson, Art Thompson. Ryan Willie, if Minnesota doesn't have a defense, Wisconsin will bring back the axe to Madison. I'm not saying we're not going to have a defense. However, we don't have depth. We have zero depth. Depth on the defensive line, especially the interior. We are in trouble. I know we got somebody visiting this weekend. A guy in the transfer portal, D-tackle. He's visiting. I'm not going to say another word. But hopefully he signs on. We are in trouble. Oklahoma State MBM is in the house. The Almighty Finn, AAR, Jansen Roberts, Jago Blue, David Hopkins, Sean, Field Crew, Dirt, Dr. Cheese, Daniel, and I always say your name wrong, Kopcha. Hopefully that's right. If it's not, let me know, Daniel. I know you've let me know before, but I don't remember. Jay Gurutkas is in the house. The Evil Badger, Ryan Willie. Thank you, Ryan, so much for the super chat. I appreciate it so much, your generosity. Appreciate it so very much. Jose USC, KS Bear fan, the Big Gun Shop. Okay, so let's get to it here. We've got a lot to get to. Let's make sure I have not missed anything. No, I have not. I have not missed anything. Let's go through these target lists. And then we're going to... before we get to the chatter, we're going to go to the portal targets. But before we get to the chatter, I also want to talk about this North Carolina budget bill. Remember, when this news broke, I told you all, I haven't even let it marinate. I haven't talked it. I haven't been able to poke and prod. I don't know, and I just going to give you my opinion. We talked about it. I've had time. Pretty interesting information that has come back to me. We got to talk about that as well. But let's go to the portal targets first. Nico, is it official? This morning, he was still in the portal. I mean, we think he's going to UCLA. Has UCLA made any comment yet? Official? I don't know, guys. I really don't know if this is truly official yet. All eyes remain on UCLA, but it's been strangely quiet since Wednesday, with no information of substance since that point. This is 247 reporting. 247 reporting, and maybe there is an update since this was reported earlier today. Madozi, the Army edge rusher, number one edge in the portal. Georgia continues to be the most popular team, coming up with the young man who tallied 34 tackles, 6.5 sacks as a sophomore, Army last year. Mr. Hudson, I've asked this question on X. The available rank is number one in the receiver unit, number 3 overall player. Utah expected Hudson to arrive for an official visit on Thursday or Friday. A return to Texas Tech is also a possibility with Hudson. A source close to Hudson indicated a few other teams could enter the mix as well. Now, I had a couple Red Raiders tell me in DMs that Hudson is going to be a Red Raider. It's going to happen. He's going to come back. I've heard that from a few of you Red Raiders out there in the PATC family. Again, I don't believe, if it's happened, I don't believe it's official yet. But let me know in the chat room if I got it wrong. Julian Neal, cornerback, Stanford, overall ranked number 1. Neal arrived at Arkansas to begin an official visit yesterday, Thursday. He's also visited Virginia, Syracuse. Others such as Tennessee, Colorado, Minnesota, Auburn, Purdue are also possibilities for additional visits. I have gotten no steam, none whatsoever, on Neal visiting Minnesota, unfortunately for the Golden Gopher fans who are watching this show. Joe Cotton, South Dakota offensive tackle. He's been in the portal. He's been ranked number 1. Cincinnati seems to have some momentum at the moment with Joe Cotton. The Bearcats. He's currently on a trip to see Cincinnati. The 6'7", 315-pound Cotton was all-conference selection at South Dakota last season. FCS freshman All-American in 2023. And then Trevor Pena, Syracuse. He wanted an increase in NIL pay according to the head coach, Fran Brown, and Fran Brown said no. He's the number 2 ranked wide receiver in the portal. He finally had a season last year. He finally busted out. I can't remember how many catches he had. It was a lot. A lot of receptions for Mr. Pena. He's visiting Penn State today. That would be quite... that'd be a pretty big deal for Penn State. You knew they were going to go in the portal to try to get a wide receiver that could be impactful, because this year Penn State is going for it all. The Big Ten Championship, the National Championship. Remember, let's remember something. Penn State was up on Notre Dame in the semifinals 10-0. The Nittany Lions 10, the Irish 0. Penn State was close to getting to the championship game, but you know what? Do you know who came in when it was 10-0? The Irish was down, led Notre Dame to some points. Steve Angeli. I talked about him, I don't know, for how long on this channel? He was never playing, but I kept saying, I think Angeli's going to go in the portal. 2 years ago, last year. Because the kid can play. I love his high school tape out of New Jersey. He finally got in the game. He finally got in the playoffs, and he was sensational. But then Riley Leonard got healthy, got back in the game, and the Fighting Irish won. But Angeli, Steve Angeli, who's been waiting for his time at Notre Dame, has gone up against the phenom C.J. Carr. And C.J. Carr has been absolutely brilliant, according to all reports, at South Bend, Indiana. The young kid, it's going to be his team. It's going to be C.J. Carr's team. So Steve Angeli is going to, now he finally hits the portal. I don't know who, look, Tennessee would be a pretty good spot, I think. I think that'd be a pretty, Angeli gets the ball out quick. The ball comes out of his hands very quickly. And I think that might help that Tennessee offensive line, who has been struggling to pass protect. So let me know, did I get any of that? Am I way behind the times on any of those top portal targets? Do we have any Do we have any... No, it looks like doesn't look like looks like we got everything. It doesn't look like there was any major updates on the portal. Now let's get to this news of yesterday. First of all, the Corso, after entertaining fans for 38 college football seasons, ESPN broadcaster Lee Corso will put on one more mascot headgear. The legendary analyst's final show will be week 1 of the 25 college football season on Saturday, August 30th. So there it is, Lee Corso. Been around for a long time. Old guys like me remember watching him. I was a young kid at the time. I remember him going into broadcasting and him talking about his Indiana coaching days. But anyways, Lee Corso, retiring, legendary character, let's say that. Not a journalist, not an announced, he did a little game announcing, but a character, ESPN Game Day, headgear, Lee Corso. But I want to get into this. So congratulations, Lee Corso, for an incredible career, entertaining us all. Congratulations on your retirement. Remember, we talked about the budget bill. Part of the budget bill at North Carolina was this gambling revenue and what they were going to do with it. They were going to raise the taxes on the 8 operators inside the state of North Carolina. And they were going to figure out a redistribution plan for all that revenue. And we talked about this news a couple of days ago. You are looking at $31.5 million each, according to Brian Murphy, WRAL, beginning in 2027. In fact, for the next couple of years, if this passes, and we're going to get into that in a moment, if this passes, it's going to be approximately $55 million each. North Carolina State and North Carolina Chapel Hill, $55 million each for the next 2 years. That is impactful. And we're going to talk more about this when we get to more of the chatter part of this monologue. Now, this is what is new. Okay. Brian Murphy. Now, this was yesterday, and I could not do a live show yesterday. We ran out of time yesterday. I mean, there's only 24 hours in a day, and I had a 26-hour day. We could not get it done. But we're going to cover it today. North Carolina Senate budget passed. Okay, it passed the Senate. This part of it passed the Senate. Okay? It would. If there was no changes to it at all in the House, it would require North Carolina State to play 3 regular season or exhibition games versus UNC System Division II schools by 39 and 40 season. Does not specify men or women. There are 4 D2 schools in the UNC system. It would require North Carolina State men and women to play 2 regular season games, including 1 away from home against all UNC Division I schools by 39-40 season. There are 9 Division I schools in the UNC system outside of UNC North Carolina State. Double tax and sports betting operators from 18 to 36%. FanDuel, DraftKings have already asked customers to oppose. House Republicans says proposal has not been discussed yet on its side. Now, thank you so much, Anthony Carlson. I'm going to get to your incredible generosity as quick as I can. Thank you, Mr. Spartans. Very much appreciated. I promise I'll get to you in as quick as I possibly can. Holy smokes, for those who were just gifted a membership by the incredible generosity of, once again, Anthony Carlson, please say thank you in the chat room. I see somebody already has. All good. 720 P-Lit. The Observer. He's a hell of a Spartan. No question about it. Okay. So this passed the Senate. Murphy goes on and says, change distribution of tax revenue from sports betting to give more money to UNC system schools at different tiers, and adds UNC North Carolina State to the distribution for the first time. So last year and the year before, the smaller public schools were getting a little bit of money, but North Carolina State and North Carolina weren't getting anything. Now they're getting massive amount of money in the bill that passed the Senate. North Carolina House will next consider budget and likely write its own version. Both chambers are controlled by Republicans, but don't always agree on budgets and budget provisions. Okay. Now, when this story first broke, I said there was a member of the PATC family, and I haven't said his name. He hasn't talked about it in the chat room yet. We'll get him on here. We'll get him on here at some point. He works in the whatever general field. I'm just going to say that, North Carolina. And he believed that this is it's going to be possibly minor changes, but this thing is going to pass in the budget bill. I mean, the money might be a little bit different, but it's going to ultimately pass. It passed in the Senate. It's going to the House. They'll write their own version. Maybe it changes a little bit. Maybe a little bit more money has to be given to the smaller schools. But ultimately, this thing is going to go through. At least what I have been told. And I think most people believe. Some version of this, close to those numbers, is going to pass. Now, I have said, and I have said this from the beginning, my thoughts, and it has been related back to me that this is the way people are thinking, that this only greases the skids for North Carolina to move out of the conference. This only helps it. It only makes it easier. It only gives North Carolina more options. It only makes it easier for them to present a financial deal to the Board of Governors that makes everything okay for North Carolina State. I've heard I had one DM come to me and said, Greg, it actually ties the two schools together. Look, they're getting the same deal from the politicians. The politicians are sending a signal to the Board of Governors. Nah. We do not believe that's happening. In fact, we believe that it's an expectation. It is an absolute expectations from the powers that be in the Board of Regents, the politicians, the money purchase, that North Carolina is going to lead the ACC. And that's how it's been for quite a while. But this even makes it more so. I think there's a lot of news going on, right? There is a lot of new information going on. I need to remind people, and I had to be reminded of this myself. Okay? I had to be reminded of this myself. First of all, if you notice, in the Senate bill, as far as we know, there's no language in that bill, that part of the gambling revenue share distribution, that says they only get this money if they're in the same conference. There's none of that. It doesn't matter where North Carolina State, North Carolina, if they're both ACC, they're going to get the money. If they're both SEC, they're going to get the money. If they're both Big Ten, they're going to get the money. If one of them is SEC, one of them is, they're both going to get the money. There is no conference affiliation language in that Senate passed bill. Number one. So if they really, really wanted to say to those two schools, ooh, look at that. North Carolina, you can get all that loot. North Carolina State, you can get all that loot. But, as long as you two stay conference members, you can have the money. There was none of that in there. None of that in there. In fact, let me raise the stakes even higher. Remember this. I put this out yesterday. NC House Bill 469. The House, not the Senate. The House. Now, this is supposed to say March. I made a mistake and put the word May in there. The House Bill 469, Restoring Rivalries, is different bill which was introduced in March, not May, in March. That was just last month, a couple weeks ago, to ensure North Carolina State will continue to play each other if they end up in different conferences. This gambling rev share should not be interpreted as an attempt to tie the two schools together. I have got this confirmed 3 different ways. Not only is this budget bill gambling rev share, there's no mention of conference affiliation requirements for those two schools to get all the loot. You've also got another bill in the other part of the legislature, the House, trying to go through saying, look, if these two schools are separate, they're going to still end up playing each other. It's going to be part of the requirement. And that gets me to the chatter. All of that sets up. First of all, let me get to, this is a good time to get to Sparty's incredible, absolutely incredible generosity. Justin Lucas, okay. Justin Lucas, if you want to give us a call and talk about the budget bill, I would be happy to hear what you got to say. Let me know in the chat room when you want to call in. If you want to call in now, let me know, and I'll open up the phone lines. I'm going to continue with the monologue unless Justin Lucas wants to give us a call, give us the background, give us his thoughts on what he thinks is going on here. Justin Lucas, give me a call. Let me know how wrong I got everything. Justin Lucas, CW2. Jeff Nadividad, JLM77, Big Jack 512, Marcus Stiggers, David Osborne, Perry Stevenson, Thompson, Prime Time Travelers, AS Gray, Cougar Tracks, Gene Calderon, All Good 720, Bob Swanger, John Bennett, Michigan Wolverine, Marcus Williams, Seminole, Daniel Gorby, Dave B, Hockneil. You've all been gifted a membership by the incredible generosity of Mr. Spartans, Anthony Carlson. When you get an opportunity, please say thank you to Anthony. And I know some of you already have. Unbelievable generosity once again by Mr. Sparty. You've all been knighted, officially cloak and dagger. Officially cloak and dagger. Okay. Anthony Carlson, my question is, would the SEC be willing to allow UNC to keep the revenue share from gambling? We got a couple thoughts on that. And then we're going to get into the chatter here. We got some chatter news. So buckle up, brace for impact. Pretty interesting show tonight. Again, April chatter, May matters. The reports, we think we're going to get some reporting in May. Okay, how about this as a possibility, Mr. Carlson? UNC, if they keep that money, it's their money. It's their money. But you know, I understand what you're saying, Anthony. In fact, some people have raised the possibility that the feds might come in and say, you're using a vice tax in order to help student athletes above students. You're helping the student athletes more than you're helping the students using a vice tax. And the Fed government might come in, whatever. People have said that. But back to your question. This could be, we talked about this a lot. We talk about how the SEC is pro rata, right? But they got a pro rata deal with ESPN. But just because they have a pro rata deal doesn't mean if they invite North Carolina that North Carolina will get 100% of the media money that an Auburn does, that an Alabama does, that a Mississippi State does. It just means that money, that pro rata, that means that the allotment of the media money of North Carolina is going to be the same as the other schools. And remember, the money comes to the conference, and the conference distributes the money. We always have to remember that. The money, all that media money, that's why there's a difference between media payout and conference payout. Media payout is part of conference payouts, but there's a lot of things in conference payouts that is not part of your tier 1 media money. That money could be some of that North Carolina money. If they were invited into the conference, they joined the conference. Some of that money might not go to North Carolina, right? Just like, remember, ESPN had that pro rata thing with ACC. ESPN is paying for SMU, Stanford, California. But Stanford and California are only getting a slice of it, and California and SMU is getting none of it, or at least the tier 1 money. And that other money is going to the ACC schools. It's split up between them all. Same thing could happen here. So even if the SEC was like, oh boy, North Carolina getting that gambling money, well, we might give them $10 million less in our offer. Who knows? I'm just saying that's an option, right? That extra money could possibly grease the skids in so many different ways with the SEC and the Big Ten. Expedition Greg, thank you so much for your gifted membership. Holy smokes, KS Bear fan. You were gifted membership by the generosity of Expedition Greg. When you get an opportunity, please say thank you to Mr. Buckeye and officially knighted Cloak and Dagger KS Bear fan. Appreciate it. Sean says the SEC won't do that. They probably won't. They probably won't. They probably won't. State lotteries already give tons of money to academia. Nick Boardman, Virginia, North Carolina, better cultural fit with the Big Ten. Let me get to a few more comments and then we go straight to the chatter. The SEC can't stop UNC taking the money. It's not sponsorship money, it's tax revenue. Again, it's not official yet. It's got to go through the House. They're going to write their own version of the bill, and we'll see what happens. But again, there was no conference affiliation requirements on that portion of the budget bill. And there's a different House bill in North Carolina that is trying to get through the House, trying to get through it all to say that North Carolina and North Carolina State have to play each other just in case they become no longer conference members. So keep an eye on all that. Okay, let's get to the chatter here. And then we're going to get to phone calls, and you can talk about anything in college football that you desire. Okay, we're going to get back to this here. Very important. There is chatter. There is chatter, and I'm going to just give you a little bit of an update here. A little bit of an update. It has been quiet in regards to the reporting. And I think that is by design and by requirement. Look, these reporters, yes, they speculate at times. They have speculated about the ACC implosion when they did not have a way out of the conference. We've all heard them we've all heard Pete Thamel, all of them have said this conference would target that school, they would have that interest over there. Maybe it will happen in the early 2030s, just like us. They have speculated. Suddenly, after the massive victory in the courts by the Tigers and the Seminoles, it's the sounds of silence. I'm going to give you my opinion on it, on why that is. Number one, well, some of this is not opinion. Okay, number one, it's hot. There is a lot of stuff going on. It's not being reported. You don't have to believe me. You don't. You can drag me over the coals. You can do whatever you want to me. I'm just telling you, it's hot. It's hot. It's so hot. It is so hot. And you're going to find that out in May. It is so hot that I think a lot of stuff is being embargoed. And a lot of stuff is nobody wants to burn anybody. But a lot of it is being, can't go with it yet. You got to promise me we can't go with it yet. I'm talking to this person over here. There's a lot of that going on. I do believe, I have reasons to believe, hint, hint, wink, wink, I have reasons to believe that Sounds of Silence dam breaks in May. Don't get it twisted. Nothing officially happens in May. Nobody's getting an invitation. I mean, nobody's I don't think they're even close to that. I'm talking about people willing to speculate. I'm talking about maybe even deeper than that. I'm talking about I might be able to come on here and talk about a hot bubble of action and give you the parameters of something happening. And then a little bit later on, give you the details of something happening. We believe the dam is going to break in May. But we're going to break it a little bit. Again, some of this is duplication. But I want to say this to emphasize something. Okay? So some of this is not news, but I really need to because nobody is reporting this. But I'm going to give you the peek around the corner because that's what this channel is all about. You're gonna find this out, I think, in May. If not in May, then in June. But I think it's in May. I think it's going to happen right before, during, or right after the ACC meetings in May. I think it's going to happen a little bit before. But whatever. These schools are not sitting on their hands. There is complete, total effort. Complete, total effort. From North Carolina, Duke. We talked about this before. We know it's happening. This is not speculation. This is a report from PATC. We know that Duke, and I'm going to explain this a little bit more of what is going on. Okay? Just a little bit more what is going on. Duke, Miami, Florida State, Clemson, a little bit of Georgia Tech, and we haven't heard anything from Stanford or Virginia, which might mean nothing. Okay, this is what we mean. It has been explained to us here at Peek Around the Corner. This is not about making a deal right now. This is what we're being told. This ain't like Washington and Oregon in the last hours before they had to make a decision and the Big Ten. We're not even close to that. But what is going on, and you've heard the word socialized, right? We've heard that word over the last couple of years. It was told to me probably 10 times yesterday in a long conversation. Ross Dellinger likes to use the word socialized. Pete Thamel has used the word socialized. You want to socialize something. You want to introduce something. And then you want to go back to it. You want to get some sort of concept, some sort of idea in front of people so they can start socializing about it, so they can start talking about it. Now it becomes normal to talk about it. That's what the Big Ten and the SEC are doing with the 4 automatic qualifiers initiative. And there's 1,000 examples out there. These schools are working it. They're spending money on lawyers. They're spending money on consultant firms. Let me repeat that. They're spending money on consultant firms, PR consultant firms, marketing consultant PR firms. They're spending money on all that right now. But right now. They're trying to socialize. They're trying to get these presidents. It ain't just the presidents. Okay. So let's push the envelope just a little bit further. You know, I've often talked about how the Big Ten is still the Big Ten. And that the Big Ten presidents need to be satisfied in this next expansion. You're going to have to give them something on that dinner plate that they like. And they have this elitist palate, right? They think it's elitist palate. You got to have something on that plate that they will be. If you want, the commissioner has to present something on that plate that the Big Ten presidents will say, okay, we'll eat this if Fox pays for it. But just because you give the Big Ten presidents a plate that Fox will pay for it, the Big Ten presidents might not eat it, and it ain't going to happen. That is the best way I can describe the relationship between the commissioner, the presidents, and the media partners. The Big Ten presidents, they respond to the needs, the concerns, the politics of their boosters, but their faculties, the research provosts, this whole network out there, of people, academia, they respond to all of that. You know, you've got presidents that go from one university to another. They love to rub elbows with people of their peers. You know, they think they're their peers. So does everybody below them. A faculty member might lead some research in some institution, go to another. They collaborate on things. They share some things in the library. They've got similar interests, and they go to the same functions, the same cocktail parties. Washington, D.C., New York City, Chicago. It becomes a network of rubbing elbows. The work is being done behind the scenes right now. None of it waited. There is action going on behind the scenes to where Duke, Florida State, Miami, Clemson, North Carolina, they're talking to people. They're spending money on people. They're spending money on their lawyers. They're trying to get their university, they're trying to get the Big Ten and the SEC presidents to be able to mention their name as many times as possible. They get their name in front of their faculties. They're trying to socialize them. They're trying to get their name, their brand, their institution socialized in the circle of SEC presidents and the Big Ten presidents. Now, this is something that no one else is really probably. Pete Thamel ain't going to talk. I don't think Pete Thamel's going to talk about this. I don't think Brett Murphy's going to talk about this. I don't think maybe Ross Dellinger, maybe Heather Dinich. But this is what's actually going on, because the Big Ten presidents, there is a political bubble around them. They've got to be okay. The SEC presidents, they got to be okay. South Carolina, the president's got to be okay about Clemson. Gainesville, the people of Gainesville have got to be okay with Florida State. Florida State's got to be able to get it socialized that they're going to be a good member of the SEC, and they're trying to get it socialized in the Big Ten circles. Duke has got a bottomless pit of money and influence, and they're pressing all the buttons. Georgia Tech is And then, well, I'll get back to Georgia. Then, you go where you think you're going to have success. You socialize, you poke and prod at the certain places in the SEC and the Big Ten that you're going to have success. I'm spending a lot of time talking about this. One is because it's true. Second is because this is all of these schools that I have mentioned have the perception. You can agree with them, disagree, but they have the perception all of this is worth the money, the time, the space, the political IOUs that they're going to have to owe later on. It's all worth it to get into the SEC or the Big Ten. The 165, I almost titled this show 165 is nothing. The $165 million, that ain't the hurdle. Not for the schools I just mentioned. That ain't it. It ain't. 165, 147, 129, it's not even part of the story. It is not part of this story. They're gonna get it done. No matter how they're gonna get it done, they're gonna get it done. But there is stuff going on, and it's not being, and because it's not like juicy, it's very difficult to report on stuff like this. You don't want to give up any of your, you got to protect people. And none of this is like where you can bite into it, right? It isn't. Nobody can. Okay, all right. Okay, let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. Let me get to your super chat first. I'm going to get to your phone calls, I promise. But I do have to give one example. And I think people will understand the difficulties in even talking about this. But we can do it here. No strings attached, except I have to be professional about it because I do have relationships with people behind the curtain, behind the chatter behind the curtain, and money purchase and all that. So I'm doing the best I can here. But I do have a big example of what the difficulties is. But I think in the month of May, things are going to change. Carson, I love you, Greg, but Duke, the cheese have officially fallen off your cracker. Thank you for the super chat, Carson. Well, I do not have Duke in the Big Ten and the SEC right now. That's not how I think it's going, but I got to be honest. I got to report Duke is making a full effort. Everything I'm saying right now is accurate about Duke. The cheese haven't fallen off my cracker. Duke is unbelievably aggressive. That's true. So I do not think, I think history is going to treat me kind. Again, people kind of mix up what I'm saying here. Did I say Duke in the Big Ten? Nope. Have I said Duke in the SEC? Nope. What I'm reporting is Duke is pushing all the levers, punching all the buttons, and I may have to change my mind on Duke. I got them in the front row with Georgia Tech and Stanford. The big reason why I got them in the front row of the Holy Smokes Theater with Georgia Tech and Stanford is because of the effort that Duke is going forward right now. That we do know. Okay, let me give you a great example here. And then we're going to get to your phone calls. So there's a lot of things going on, right? In 2023, we found out on April 28th, here at College Football Peek Around the Corner, that there was going to be a meeting between Colorado and the Big 12. It was a planned meeting. Okay? We did a live show and we could not talk about it. But what I could do is I could say there's a hot bubble of action going to happen between now and May 17th. And I said it was going to be impactful. But I couldn't talk about the details. I was embargoed. If I would have said something about it at that time, I would have lost the ability to harvest the field, which we've been successfully doing for the couple years after that. There was no way I was going to step on anybody. But I kept talking about this hot bubble of action. You all knew that something was happening. Then on May 8th, I came on here, May 8th, 2023, and I said the Pac-12, they're hanging by a thread, but they just got a shot in the solar plexus. That was a Monday. That meeting happened on May 7th in Chicago between Colorado and the Big 12. So we knew what was going to happen. Or we knew what the meeting could have been canceled. We weren't going to say anything. We weren't going to be part of the story. We wanted to report the story after it happened. So on May 8th, we did the best we could. We said the Pac-12 got a shot in the solar plexus. Then eventually Pete Thamel let it out. And in ESPN, a couple weeks later, he said Colorado and the Big 12 had a meeting. And then we also knew about there was a big whale and a minnow boosters meeting, one in Boulder, Colorado, and the big one in Newport, California. And we told you, all we could say to you was, there's something big happening with the money perch west of Colorado. We could not say the state. We could not say the city. We said that about 4 or 5 live shows where we were giving you the heads up that there was action going on, but we couldn't blow it up. This is what's going on now. There's action, but nobody's going to blow it up. Nobody's going to be part of the process. There's nothing that they can report on right now. I have reasons to believe that some of that, a little bit of that, is going to change in May. I think some of that is going to change in May. I think you're going to wake up in a day in May and say, wow, Heather Dinich says this. Pete Thamel said that. Ross Dellinger said this. I think it's going to happen a little bit. I think that's going to happen in May. Okay, let's get to your phone calls. I've spent an hour and 13 minutes yapping. I appreciate everybody for coming on in. I appreciate all the donations and the generosity. Thank you, Carson. Let's get to your phone calls. Let's get it going. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Give me a call. Talk about anything in college football. We did talk about the latest portal targets. Nico, I don't think that's official yet. Medolzi, Army edge rusher. Georgia, visiting Georgia. Mr. Hudson.
Call from
Rick.
Rick is on the line. The floor is yours. Thanks for calling, sir. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for taking my call. And before I forget, I hope you and the missus have a very happy Easter this Sunday.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
I don't understand the those who are rejecting Duke. I mean, Duke is, I think, a fine candidate for the Big Ten, especially if they don't get the Tar Heels. It'll allow them to plant their flag in the great state. And from the SEC standpoint, the way Sankey likes basketball and the success they're having, Duke is a fine piggyback for another football school to come in as a partner in the rare event North Carolina chooses the Big Ten. So I think Duke has power.
Yeah, they do. Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
And speaking of North Carolina, so just to be clear, the tax money from gambling is going into the North Carolina coffers, and the state legislature, the Senate half of the legislature, has allocated big bucks to UNC and NC State.
Yeah, and I think, Rick, and I've seen this reported more than once. So it's going to their athletic department. So it isn't
going to their athletic department.
Yeah, it ain't
with House approval once the House approves it.
Yeah.
So that would be how much money? About?
What was that?
That would be how much money? About how much money?
Well, it starts off. It will rise according to projections based upon increase in gambling. Projections show $31.5 million going to North Carolina State. $31.5 million going to North Carolina beginning in 2027. They would get 20-some million in 2026. But now that's projections. I mean, if FanDuel says that's too much of a tax, we're buzzing out of here. Or DraftKings says, we're not dealing with that. We're out of here. I think the bettors would go somewhere else. So again, it's projections, right? It might be off a little bit, but a whole bunch of money is going to go to North Carolina State's athletic departments directly. Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll just for sake of argument, we'll call it $30 million. Go into UNC athletic department, and that would be $15 million for the women's program and $15 million for the men's, right?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't know how much. I don't know what is if the athletic departments have the ability to spend it as they see it, or if that could be part of it. I do not know. Great question, though.
Well, yeah, seeing as how it's the citizens of the state of North Carolina.
Well, it's the people who gamble.
Well, it's the people who gamble who give it to the citizens of the state of North Carolina.
Yeah. It's a vice tax. Yes.
It's in the North Carolina coffers.
I mean, there was no. I understand what you're saying. It's a public university. Yeah.
It could be a luxury tax on a boat.
Yep.
But the tax money still goes into the North Carolina coffers.
Yep.
For the citizens of the state of North Carolina to elect people to distribute the money.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I would think there'd be a lot of.
Yeah, that could be.
I would think at least half the citizens of North Carolina are probably women. I would think.
But true. But again, it isn't a tax. It's not a tax on. It's not a tax on the taxpayers in North Carolina. It's a tax on the operators of the operators of the gambling who are gambling, and so more of their money is going to go to the state, to the athletic department. More of the money is going to go everywhere, but some of that money is going to go in these athletic departments. Now, that might be. I understand what you're saying, but it ain't. It's not. It's a vice. It's not like. I don't think 50% of the people who are gambling are women. I could be wrong. But I understand what you're saying. God, I was going to say something. I forgot.
Well, do they do the same thing with lottery money?
Well, the lottery money goes, depending on what the Congress says where it goes, right? It gets spent, like if a certain part of your lottery money goes to a government agency, like environmental agency, then the agency kind of decides how it's going to spend their money, right?
Well, every lottery I've seen says it goes to the kids.
Okay.
But I didn't think it only went to the male kids.
Well, maybe it will be split half and half. I do not know. No idea. I don't know if there's anything telling them how they have to spend it or not. To be honest, that really hasn't been part of the reporting that I've seen so far.
That'll be fun to see.
Yeah.
And then because they'll have to decide. I mean, they'll have to decide how to spend it. Mm-hmm. Just like rev share. Just like schools decide on the rev share, right?
Well, the schools right now the schools are deciding on rev share. The athletic department decides how much money goes where. It's not going to be split. At least right now, it ain't going to be split 50-50.
I thought it was in some schools.
Well, I don't know what school that would be. I know people were talking about it at first, but then I do not think. I mean, all these universities with a football program, you're going to have about 70-75% of that rev share going to the football program. So it ain't going to be split 50-50. That, it just isn't.
Okay, well, that's...
Yeah. I mean, the back pay ain't going to be, the rev share numbers are going to be generally the same as the percentage of the back pay money going in the class action suit. 75% of that back pay is going to football players, 15% men's basketball players, a few percent women basketball players, and then the other remaining percentages are other student athletes.
And that's why they want to get that decision codified.
For a lot of reasons.
So that formula remains the same.
Yep.
And then, with regard to the reporters who are reluctant or unwilling to report these stories, they've got like a gag order on them, or?
Yes, but that can happen in many different ways. One is internally. Like your editor, you're just not given the go ahead. They're all, I know these are big names and everything, but they all have an editor. They all have a boss. Number one.
Yep.
Number two, if you notice, a lot of these guys do not report on something, these guys and gals, until the story is ripe, until they know they've got everything dotted and T's crossed. And and there is no real story for them to really. What the silence of the lambs part of this is, for me, is they're not even speculating on any of this. And they've always, they've always, every few months, one of them goes off and speculates. They just do. It's natural. They talk about it. I've heard Reese Davis and all of them have speculated on what is going to happen with each ACC schools and everything, but not all of them have been quiet since the victory in the courts. They've all been quiet. The one I really like that you introduced me to, I hadn't read his material, but you introduced him, and I really like the guy, and I can't remember his name. Is the one there for Tampa Bay. Oh, Matt Baker.
Matt Baker.
Yeah, he's with the Athletic now.
Oh, man. Oh. Yeah. You broke my heart.
Yeah.
He sold out to the Atlantic. Yeah, he had some good insight. He was... well, that explains a lot.
Yeah.
That disappoints me.
I think, and again...
So did Dockerman. Dockerman sold out to the Athletic.
Yeah. The reason why... So the title of my title page is April Shatter, May Matters. One of the reasons that I think you're going to get speculation, at least speculation, coming out of these reporters in May is there is a meeting in May, ACC, and they're all going to go to it. And when you got all the bodies in, these reporters are going to get something that they can. I can't get it. We're in my opinion, I'm a nobody. I know nothing. In my opinion, we're going to get some speculation in May. I'm just going to leave it at that.
And that's good information to have. Yeah. But I can't believe. Well, I can believe. I don't like the fact that they're all being muzzled. That there isn't somebody out there. Besides you, oh, by the way.
Well, it isn't. It's not that they're being. I think a lot of them.
I'm throwing out a compliment. I mean, yeah, you go out there and do what you have to do, but you're the same as a 1950s reporter. Yeah. Hanging around the police station all day.
Yeah. I'm also, I want to say, I'm also like, I don't want to use the word muzzled. I have, as you know, there's been, I cannot,
But you have a loyalty to sources.
Yeah, and it's not just that. It's there is this thing where you're trading bones, right? You're trading bones. Somebody might contact me on something that I've got. I got a name of a sports information director. I got the number. I give it to a person. Now that person gives me something. So we're trading bones a lot, and some bones have been given to me, and I'm in debt to some people, and you kind of have to. You get the okay to be able to say this. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I completely understand. That's me. That's in my world. But these reporters' worlds are a lot bigger. They got a lot more sources. They're talking to the most important people, and they're not going to go with a story until it's absolutely right. What I want to make, and I'm going to let you go here, Rick, because we got other callers, but I just want to make sure everyone understands there has been no speculation, like no general speculation, and I think that changes in the month of May. I don't know if there's going to be any real ripe stories in May, but I think people are going to speculate because there are going to be a lot of people talking. I don't want to get into it anymore, but that's it. I do appreciate it, Rick.
Hey, it's only 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Call from
Jay Goo.
Jay Goo, first-time caller, I believe, correct? Hello.
That is correct. Thanks for having me, Greg.
You got it. I appreciate the call. Go
show.
ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
Yeah, no problem. I wanted just to elaborate on what you're talking about, which is what you're trying to tell us is that the relationships are starting to fire up, right? All these ACC schools are starting up the relationships that they need to build to get in these conferences. You know, I'm a Rutgers alum, and I followed the realignment back in the day, and I know the Big Ten since like 1990 gave Rutgers a blueprint of what they need with no guarantees, even if Rutgers completed it, that they'd get in it. It took Rutgers 25 years, and if you ever read the articles on the athletic director at the time, how he built a relationship with Delaney, they would talk all the time for like 10 years, and they wouldn't even talk about football, just building a relationship. And I think what you're trying to say is all these schools are now, maybe they've been doing it, but are starting to build these relationships. And someone like Duke, who might be behind Florida State as far as program prestige or whatever, has a potential opportunity to jump a school like that. So I just wanted to elaborate that relationships and realignment, a lot of people just look at the football field, but relationships are a huge part of getting your school to where you want to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You said it a lot better than I've ever said it. Rutgers was on a long-term relationship build with the Big Ten. They still needed things to go their way. Many of these ACC schools, I think North Carolina controls their own destiny and Notre Dame does, but everyone else is like, we don't quite know exactly what's going to happen here. We got to take every opportunity, and if an opportunity arises, we got to be there, and we need to have our name in front of those presidents and get it socialized. We want, Clemson wants the SEC and the Big Ten to be talking about Clemson right now. They want, it's like Coca-Cola and RC Cola, right? Coca-Cola is this massive brand. RC Cola, you can barely find it. Now, RC Cola might be a better taste than cola. Or in the future, they might have some secret ingredient that makes it so much better than Coca-Cola. But even if they do, even if it's a way better Coke, like 90% of the people who taste RC Cola versus Coca-Cola, they're going to like RC Cola better. But that doesn't really matter because Coca-Cola has all the exposure. They have the best shelving in the stores. They get all these marketing points. They just dominate everything. RC Cola is trying to battle for that. That's exactly what's happening here. They all want to get in front of not just the presidents, the faculty, the leaders in the research at these universities. They all want to talk to the biggest boosters among themselves. It's a battle for, well, they're trying to get socialized. They're trying to get their university on the lips of the decision makers as much as possible right now. You are absolutely correct, Jay Goo. By the way, what do you expect out of Rutgers football team this year?
I think Rutgers is going to be pretty solid. I think Schiano has gotten the team to be, that bowl team back-to-back years.
Yep.
7 wins. I think there's a lot of returning starters. The problem with Rutgers is the schedule gets a little tougher, right? Last year they had like this dream schedule. There was no Oregon, no Ohio State, no Michigan, no Penn State, and they went like 7-6. This year they might have a team even better, but is the record going to reflect that just because of the challenge of the schedule? I don't know. But I'm really happy with the team identity, the direction of the team, and just becoming a solid bowl team and being a middle of the pack or upper middle is really where I'd like to see the program at, and I think we're right on the cusp of that, so I'm excited.
I was thinking that maybe you guys would go after Steven Angeli. He's from New Jersey.
Yeah. With a school like Rutgers, when there's not a big NIL, we
Yeah.
don't have boosters. The number one thing is to find a football player that fits the culture. So even local kids might not fit that profile. A school like Rutgers really has to find the right mix in the day of the portal and the day of recruiting. And that's kind of where it is. But I'm excited for the Big Ten, and I do love summer realignment talks because as a Rutgers guy, I was like a panicking hardcore fan back when we were stuck in the AAC and didn't know what was going to happen, even though I know we've been talking to the Big Ten. So I feel for all these schools going through it now, but, may the best school emerge and complete the conference. So looking forward to it. And thanks for letting me call in.
You got it. Jay Goo, please call again, sir. Okay?
Got it, man. Later.
You got it. Beautiful. Rutgers, Jay Goo. Beautiful first call, Jay Goo, Rutgers. Ethan Kaliakmanis, he beat us last year. He beat the Golden Gophers last. That was his best. That was the second best game of his career when he beat the Gophers. He beat Wisconsin. He was a quarterback of Minnesota. The game against Wisconsin, the first real big game he had. He was brilliant. Kaliakmanis was absolutely brilliant, but then everything went pear-shaped. Nice call. Yep, great call. Great call. Again, the phone lines are wide open. Give us a call, 763-260-1333. Be a first-time caller like Jay Goo. I am not scary. I'm easy to talk to. I'm not going to yell at you, I promise. 763-260-1333. Give us a call. Talk about anything in college football that your heart desires. We talked about the update in the chatter. I guess the one puzzling thing to me is, okay, there hasn't been any speculation by the major reporters, but I think one of them would at least say, in general, that these schools are not waiting. Like, they can make some inference, like, I guess they can't even say that. Like there are things going on, like there's chatter. Say something. They almost make it. They're so silent that I think a lot of college football fans think nobody's taking action right now. Like no one's talking. That is the furthest from the truth. I promise you. I promise you. That is like. In public, these the leaders of these schools in public are still saying we're proud members of the ACC. We're okay, we're going to be, whatever. The future is the future. In private, I'm telling you right now, as I'm sitting here, in private. The schools that have the opportunity to get out to get to the Big Ten or the SEC, that have the opportunity to do so, they're working it right now. April 18th, before April 18th, they did not wait. They did not wait to the fall of 2025. They're not going to wait until the winter of 2025. They're not going to wait until the spring of 2026. They're taking action right now. Nothing is imminent, but it is imminent, and it's currently happening. It's currently happening that there is a lot of socializing going on. That's a great question, Nick Boardman, Mr. Hokie. Nobody has written about it. Nobody has reported on it. That's a whole big story unto itself. It was silent before UCLA and USC was announced. That's true. But this is different. This is different. I do believe this is. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. This is different though. They know. They know. I know this. I know that they know. I don't know everything they know. In fact, I probably know very little of what they know. But I know that they know. You get it? I know that they know. I know that they know that there's stuff going on. I know that. I know that. Look, you're not going to get a reporter coming out and saying, nobody has talked to anybody. They're all taking this year off. 165 million is just too much. 147 too much. They're gonna have to wait until it gets down to 129, 111. It's just too. There's too much. You're not gonna get any of that. Nobody's gonna say that. Now, they did all come out right away when Clemson and Florida State got their massive victory. Not all of them, but most of them came out and said right away, "Oh, this buys the ACC time until 2030." They're not even saying that anymore, right? They're not speculating. They're not saying that because now they know that it did not buy the ACC until 2030. They're not even speculating that anymore because they know that there's great effort being made right now. Now, effort doesn't necessarily turn into results. But there's a lot of money, there's a lot of consulting going on, and there's a lot of the socializing. Forced effort, socializing, getting out there. People are picking up the phone, talking to each other, and it's not just at the presidential level. Hint, hint, wink, wink. So, there is, let me give you another example. I mean, it's not much. Just let me infer something else to you. You remember when the Big 12 expanded with, when they brought Houston in with Cincinnati and BYU and UCF, and there was this huge effort with Houston. Massive effort with Houston. They knew that they were the longest shot of the four. They wanted to make sure that nobody else came in and snuck in and got that 12th spot in the Big 12. BYU was going to come on in. BYU brought in the value. They increased the value of the whole conference. Cincinnati was the proxy of ESPN. UCF was the proxy of Fox. ESPN and Fox were both media partners of the Big 12, continue to be. It was Houston that had a battle for every inch, and they brought everybody in. And, you know, Jim Nantz, the announcer, I mean, you know, he called everybody he possibly could. Everybody pushed the buttons. That's happening now. That's happening now, and it's even a bigger stage. It's even more money, more power, more political stuff. I mean, did you see, you've read the stories recently. You read the stories on how Stanford and California and SMU got in the ACC. All the bargaining that happened in that. You saw how Bill Belichick became the head coach of North Carolina. You had Marco Rubio. I mean, and Bubba Cunningham. I mean, that is what's going on now at an unbelievable high level. And we have gotten word of some of that. And that is why I know that they know. The reporters know a lot more than I do. Pete Thamel knows 1,000 times they all do. So, but it is happening. I can give you that peek. It is happening. Let me check for any news here. Okay, we are going to shut it down for this evening. We've been on the air for an hour and 45 minutes. I want to thank everybody who joined us again. Keep your head on a swivel. Keep your head on a swivel. Again, it's April. It's April chatter. May is going to matter when it comes to report, steam, speculation from the national reporters. That is my very strong held opinion based on information that I have received. Preston from Greensboro, thank you so much. Bill G, Mr. Hoosier Ricky Tungate, the Evil Badger Ryan Willie, the incredible Anthony Carlson, and his humongous gifted membership. Expedition Greg, thank you, Mr. Buckeye. I appreciate it. Carson, thank you so very much for your generosity. I want to thank everybody for coming on in, spending a little time with us here on April 18th on a Friday night. Holy smokes. Before you leave, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. If you did not like this content, if you did not like how I put together the show, give me a thumbs down. Smash the thumbs down and let me know in the comment section how I can better serve you, the college football sickles. I do read the comments even after the show. People are adding comments a day later, 2 days later. I'm reading those comments. So if you need to bark at me, and I get a lot of barking in this comment section, which is fine, let me know how I can better serve you. Smash that thumbs down button because that also helps us here at YouTube. So smash away. Again, I'm going to give you a little bit of a warning here. We could come on live at any time. This is how we do it. Peek around the corner. We do not go by a schedule. Breaking news, we got it covered. If I got some information I need to give to you, like today, we got it covered. We're going to do it. So when you subscribe to our channel, you have to open up those notifications. Turn those on to this channel and follow us at Flug Empire on X because sometimes we give you a little bit of a warning that we're coming on. I do appreciate you all joining us. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your generosity. Until next time, from all of us at College Football's Peek Around the Corner to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.